Om. 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 Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatयै Namaha, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांशहस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् वंशीविभूषितकरान्नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरादरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्ठात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखादरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने अन्तर्यश्च बहिर्विधूततिमिरं ज्योतिर्मयं शाश्वतं स्थानं प्राप्य विराजते विनमताम् अज्ञानमुन्मूलयन् पश्यन् विश्वमपीदमुल्लसति यो विश्वस्य पारे परः तस्मै श्रीरमणाय लोकगुरवे शोकस्य हन्त्रे नमः. Let us do the Mangalacharana of this text. सत्प्रत्ययाः किन्नु विहाय सन्तम् हृद्येष चिन्तारहितो हृदाख्यः कथं स्मरामस्तममेयमेकम् तस्य स्मृतिस्तत्र दृढैव निष्ठा मृत्युञ्जयम् मृत्युभयाश्रितानाम् अहं मतिर्मृत्युमुपैति पूर्वम् अथ स्वभावादमृतेषु तेषु कथं पुनर्मृत्युधियोऽवकाशः. Before we begin with today's inquiry, let us chant the verses 36 to 39. हृत्प्राप्य सद्धाम निजस्वरूपे स्वभावसिद्धेनुपलभ्य निष्ठाम् मायाविलाससदसत्स्वरूप विरूपनानैकमुखप्रवादाः सिद्धस्य वित्तिः सत एव सिद्धिः स्वप्नोपमानाः खलु सिद्धयोन्याः स्वप्नः प्रबुद्धस्य कथं नु सत्यः सति स्थितिं किं पुनरेति मायाम् सोऽहं विचारो वपुरात्मभावे साहाय्यकारी परमार्गणस्य स्वात्मैक्यसिद्धौ न पुरर्निरर्थो यथा नरत्वप्रमितिर्नरस्य द्वैतं विचारे परमार्थबोधे तु अद्वैतमित्येष न साधुवादः गवेषणात् प्राग् दशमे विनष्टे पश्चाच्च लब्धे दशमत्वमेकम्. Raman Maharshi was talking about whether Brahman is gained, prapta, real, unreal, duality, one, etc. Where he gave the example of 10th man and exclaimed and said that all these exclamations, all these statements that during the time of inquiry there is duality and when the Brahman is gained it is non-dual are not appropriate. They are wrong. It is not right. Why? And he gave the example of the 10th man. Even though, even during the state where the 10th man was lost and the 10th man was gained, was known, in all those times, at all times, the 10th man was always 10th. He was never lost. During search, was he not there? Yes, he was always there. After search, when he was found, was he there? He was there. He was never lost. In the same way, what is it? Let us go through it again and let us see some other parts of that example and the explanation. The objection has been raised at the point or on point where if somebody says, now right now I am experiencing this entire creation, therefore there is duality. Right now I am trying to know Brahman, therefore Brahman is not known to me. And because Brahman is not known to me, there is this duality. And once my inquiry is complete, once I know Brahman, it will be non-dual. Saying this is fallacious, just like saying that the 10th man was lost and now he was found. While they were searching for the 10th man was lost, and after he was found, the 10th man was gained. No, it is not true. What is the story of 10th man? We had seen that 10 foolish people who had gone for a walk, who were trying to reach another village. While reaching another village, they were crossing a river which had strong water currents, which was flowing very fast, which had strong water currents, and during crossing that river, while crossing that river, they were being careful, but after crossing, when they counted 9. Everybody failed to count himself, and therefore they concluded that the 10th man has been lost. With this conclusion, they started crying. Then a wise man came. Then he pointed out, while person was counting, he pointed that person's finger towards himself as in the person who was counting, and said, you are that 10th man. The 10th man that has been lost is you. And they found the 10th man. In this story, when they were trying to search for the 10th man, was he really lost? No. It was their ignorance that obstructed their knowledge that the 10th man is. So the 10th man was not really lost, and in reality he has not really been found. But with respect to ignorance, it is said that the 10th man has been lost, 10th man is not there, and now 10th man is there. In the same way, in reality, there is neither duality or it is not non-dual. Saying that during inquiry, Brahman is not there, there is duality, and after Brahman has been gained, there is non-dual Brahman, is not appropriate, right? Because even during inquiry, the 10th man was always there. So even during inquiry, it is non-duality alone. Brahman is non-dual alone. It is my ignorance which makes me think that there is duality. With respect to which we were seeing certain example in certain explanation. In short, we will see that explanation. It is a very huge topic. It is a very big topic in Vedanta, which refers to not just duality or non-dual nature, but it explains or it says that during the time of creation, whenever the creation is there, Brahman itself becomes dual. And when the pralaya takes place, it goes back into its non-dual nature. On this statement, on this idea, the question has been raised and explanation has been given. Even when the Brahman has become dual, it has not lost all its characteristics. That's what their argument is. Then don't take this argument lightly, don't take them or don't consider them as foolish, ignorant. They have very valid points, they have very valid arguments, but this can be a doubt in our mind. That's why I am referring to it here. The point is, the question is it real? How is it so? The example is simple. When, let's say, there is a ball of mud, or let us say a piece of gold, a huge chunk of gold is there. That chunk of gold has been melted. That chunk of gold has been melted and made into many different ornaments. Can you not experience different ornaments? Yes. Are they not all gold? Yes. Every ornament has its own individual identity, such as bangles, rings, bracelets, earrings, crown. Each individual ornament has its own identity, its own existence, and everything is gold, and the quantity of gold in all those ornaments is exactly the same as that was in the original one. Let me restate the fact. Let me restate what I said earlier, right now. The quantity, the amount of gold has not changed when that gold became all different ornaments. Yet, the transaction which individual element, or element as in individual object, that is gold, which has been called with different names as an ornament, is different. The crown is put on head. Earrings are worn in our ears. Bangles or bracelet in arms. Ring in finger. Everything is gold. When they have become ornaments, they have not given up their goldness. So all ornaments have not given up their goldness. All ornaments are different from each other. All ornaments put together will have the same quantity of gold as that in the original. We are not going to take into account the partial, very fine amount lost during that process. Negligible. We are not going to analyze that critically the example. The point that has been made here is the Brahman, without undergoing change, has become dual. Now, this is the problem. This is where the ignorance and the nature of ignorance comes into picture. We feel stumped. So right now the duality is real. Let it be dual. Let duality be real. In reality, this duality is nothing but Brahman. So let this duality be there. Why? Because the amount of gold or the price of gold has not changed. Now I am just making this statement because this is where we will go wrong. Otherwise, there is no requirement for this analysis. But it's really interesting inquiry. That's why we are inquiring right now. Let's say I have, say, around, I don't know the amount, but let us say I have the gold which is worth 1 lakh rupees. That I converted into ornaments. Now those ornaments are going to be priced based on their value or the amount of gold that they have. Of course, design, etc. will come into picture, but we are not going to go into that price. We are going to stick to the amount of gold and the price of gold. So the price of gold has not changed. So after that gold has turned into ornaments, the price has remained the same. The gold amount of gold has remained the same. Yet all the transactions, all the activities, all vyavahara with each individual ornament is different. In the same way, before creation or when the creation is not there, Brahman is non-dual, it is there, it is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. But when the creation takes place, that same Brahman becomes all these different forms, it becomes duality, is there, and yet, just as the amount of gold did not change when it turned into different ornaments, the price has not changed, and transaction with each individual ornament is different. In the same way, transaction with each different element, each different person, each different object in this creation is different, but everything is Brahman with duality. To which the question is raised that Brahman, which was non-dual, becoming dual, is it modification? Is it modification or is it superimposition? Is it vikara? Is it parinama? Or is it vivarta? With this question, the inquiry should start, and such inquiry ends that ignorance. When you say, of course, rightfully you have said that gold has not lost its goldness, the amount has not been lost, etc. Everything is true, and that's where we are trying to say, even after becoming ornaments, those ornaments are not ornaments but gold. Ornaments are just the superimposition on its substratum, that is gold. And because of this superimposition, I am not able to see the substratum or the original, the true nature. And when you look at it this way, you will know that even during the time of creation, Brahman is Brahman alone. All the names and forms are superimposed on that Brahman. All gold ornaments are nothing but names and forms superimposed on gold. That's why we are making the pricing them based on the amount of gold in it, not based on what shape, what color, or what form it has. This is the truth. Brahman is always non-dual, whether there is creation or there is no creation. It is Purnam all the time. If anybody is interested, let me give you the reference for this inquiry and discussion. It comes under the mantra Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam in Brihadaranyaka. Bhashyakara has taken up in great details this discussion, how that Purna Brahma, which is full, becomes this world without giving up its fullness. But that is a totally different discussion. But the conclusion, but in short, whatever the explanation is what we saw just now. So Brahman is always non-dual. There is no duality whatsoever at any point of time. Having said this, now Raman Maharshi ji is going to explain what is the nature of liberation, what is Jivan Mukti or what is Mukti with respect to karma. Raman Maharshi ji is saying, करोति कर्मेति नरो विजानन् बाध्यो भवेत् कर्मफलं च भोक्तुं विचारधूता हृदि कर्तृता चेत् कर्मत्रयं नश्यति सैव मुक्तिः नरः कर्म करोति नरः a man कर्म करोति कर्म करोति does work कर्म कर्म करोति न करोमि करोति कर्मेति कर्म करोमि कर्मेति कर्म करोमि I do work iti vijanan knowing this way or identifying thinking this way karma phalancho bhoktum for experiencing the fruits or results of the actions that he has performed karma phala results of action bhoktum experience to experience badhyaha bhavet becomes bound becomes eligible not just eligible but he becomes bound he has to experience he has to undergo the result of the actions that he has performed hrudi kartruta chet in the heart hrudi in the heart in his antahkarana in his mind kartruta chet kartruta vicharadhuta chet his doership vicharadhuta chet has been washed away has been cleansed has been removed by vichara enquiry karmatrayam nashyati all three types of karma actions nashyati are destroyed they perish sa eva muktihi that alone is liberation in short what Raman Maharshi is saying is when a man thinks that I am doer I do work he becomes bound he has to undergo the results of the actions that he has performed and when the doership has been washed away has been removed has been cleansed with enquiry the doership which is in one's own mind antahkarana has been cleansed it results in destruction removing of all three types of action and that alone is liberation the point here that has been made here the point that has been made here is you will be bound as long as you consider yourself doer and enjoyer if you are enjoyer you already have identified yourself as doer and if you are identifying yourself as doer you will have to undergo the results of actions that you have performed what do you mean let us see let's see one example let us say okay there was one person who was traveling by train was traveling by train it was a long distance train he entered one compartment with huge bag now once when he entered he kept the bag slid it under the seat slid it under his seat he was not traveling a very long distance so he was just traveling a regular traveler and there was another person sitting in that same compartment he saw this first guy sliding his bag under his seat then this first guy said can you please watch my bag I just need to go to washroom I just need to relieve myself can you please do that for me the second person said okay first person went to bathroom he went for a break and the second person saw this as an opportunity and decided to steal that first person's bag because he himself was a thief. Now, when the second person decided to steal the first person's bag, he quietly pulled that bag and he knew now the station is approaching, the train slows down. I will just get down and start walking. By the time this person will come, I will have left the premises and I'll be free. And this will be the most successful theft ever. Now, the second person, what he did was he picked that bag up, he got down, he deboarded the train and started walking. As soon as he exited the station premises, he was caught by police. There were few uniformed personnels were standing there, and they caught hold of him. Because what had happened was these personnel had got tip. They had got information that a person was smuggling some goods in certain bag, and they were to catch hold of him. Now the second person who was carrying that particular bag was exactly was matching the description, so they stopped him. They said, "Whose bag is this? Tell me." Now, because he was thief and he cannot say to the personnel that it is not my bag, I'm stealing it. So he said, "Yes, it is my bag." "Are you sure? Can you confirm for us again that this is your bag?" The second person said, "Yes, this is my bag." Then, because they wanted to make sure that it is the right bag, there are smuggled goods inside that bag, so they asked him to open the bag. And when he opened, there were smuggled goods and contraband in that bag, and they arrested him and he was punished severely, so on and so forth. The story ends here. Now, the point here is, why was he punished? Because he took the ownership of what he was not, what he is not, what it is not. Had he said that this bag was found by me, so and so forth, and this I am trying to return, he would have escaped. He would not have gotten the results that he got. In the same way, we take up the ownership of this gross body, subtle body, causal body, the jiva, the kartrutva, doership and enjoyership, and we experience the results of all those actions. Only when we take ownership and we identify. If we give up that ownership identification, the results will not come to us, but the ownership has to be given up. It is not parallel to, or it does not give us freedom to do whatever we want. If I say once I have become liberated, once I am free, I can do whatever I want, that means you are not free, you are still bound, because doing whatever I want implies, takes into consideration that you are still identifying yourself as doer, and that is not mukti, that is not liberation. Liberation is only when you know thoroughly as your nature that I am not doer, I am not enjoyer. You have washed away the doership from your mind, put into bracket, on account of Brahma Jnana, Brahma Sakshatkara. That has not been mentioned, but that is the reality. And once that Brahma Jnana has been gained on account of Brahma Jnana, when you know that I am not doer, all three karmas are washed away. And what are those three karma? Sanchita, Prarabdha, Agami. What is Sanchita karma? Total karma that has been acquired over many lives. and that will give me results in future births. Total karma account, that is sanchita, accumulated. Prarabdha is that which has started giving results, sanchita only, but which has started giving results in this life, in this birth, and will continue. And as long as prarabdha is there, this body will be there. When the prarabdha is over, this body will be dropped. And then the agami karma refers to that which will still, uh, agami is that karma which I perform right now in present state, but which is going to give me results in future. There is another definition, but we are not going to go into that definition. In short, agami karma is that karma which is going to give me results in future. That's so prarabdha, sanchita, agami. All these three types of karma are from the standpoint of doer and enjoyer. When this doership and enjoyership has been given up, I will be free from all these three karma. Now in this, one must know that prarabdha will still continue, but the Jivan Mukta Mahatma will not identify with it. That's it. Sanchita Agami, Sanchita and Agami, they go away the moment Brahma Jnana has been gained. But Prarabdha, it will still continue. After this, with respect to bondage, Bandha, Raman Maharshi is going to explain, Raman Maharshi is explaining liberation. He is saying, बद्धत्वभावे सति मोक्षचिन्ता बन्धस्तु कस्येति विचारणेन सिद्धे स्वयं स्वात्मनि नित्यमुक्ते क्व बन्धचिन्ता क्व च मोक्षचिन्ता. बद्धत्वभावे सति मोक्षचिन्ता. When there is sense of bondage, moksha there will be desire for liberation. Chinta, chintana, inquiry, thinking, desire. Bandhaha tu kasya? To whom does this bondage belong? Iti vicharanene. Iti vicharanena, by inquiring thus. Swatmani nityamukte swayam siddhe. Swatmani in oneself, nityamukte, ever free, ever liberated. Swayam siddhe, itself established, itself having got. Quo, where? Bandha chinta is the thought of bondage. Quacha moksha chinta, and where is the concern for mukti, moksha, liberation. When there is sense of bondage, there is desire for liberation. By the inquiry, who is this person who is bound and desiring for liberation? When one inquires thus, one's own self, which is ever free, itself gets established, one gets absorbed in his one's own swarupa, and then where is the thought of bondage and where is the desire for liberation? The point here Raman Maharshi is trying to make is, you are bound as long as you think you are bound, and once you know that you are liberated, you will know that you were always liberated, you were never bound. The desire for moksha, the desire for liberation is from the standpoint of bondage. When I feel bound, when I think I am bound, I will desire for moksha, I will yearn for moksha. Let me give you a simple example to understand what the point here is, what Raman Maharshi ji has explained here is. It is like this. There was a pot maker. One day he returned from the river bank. He had collected all the mud that he was required to collect to make pots the next day. So he carried all that mud, many different sacks of mud, on the bank on the back of his donkey. When they all returned, he realized that the rope that was used for tying that donkey has been lost, was left behind on the banks of river. Now because it was dark and there was no other way, no other piece of rope available to tie that donkey, he was concerned. His concern was found sensed by his father, so a father asked, "What happened? Why are you so concerned?" The person said, "How do I tie this donkey?" The father said, "Just do exactly what you do. Just act as if you are tying that donkey, but don't use rope." The son said, "What are you talking about, Dad? Father, what are you talking? This will run away at night." Father said, "Don't act like him. Don't be foolish. Do as I say." The son did as father asked him to do. He did all the actions of tying the rope around donkey's neck, tying on the ground to that small pole to which the rope is tied, etc. He went to sleep with concern, but in the morning when he woke up, the donkey was still there. When it was time, now the mud is there, but now he has to get water. So again he took some buckets or pots in which he was going to fill water up, and he put them on donkey's back and asked him to move. But donkey wouldn't budge. He tried to hit donkey, but donkey did not move. Father saw this foolishness and father said, "You are as fool as your companion. You are a donkey." Son asked, "Why? What happened?" Father said, "Last night you tied that donkey, but have you untied him?" "Yes." "No, why should I untie him? There is no rope." Father said, "You know that there is no rope, but that donkey does not know that he has not been tied, but it was just an action that was performed. Do untie him, take away the rope that you tied last night on his neck, and the donkey will start moving." As soon as that son, he performed all those actions, the donkey started moving, the donkey started going towards river bank as he usually would every morning, every day. The story ends. The point here that has been made is, was that donkey really tied down? No, the donkey was never tied, but donkey himself thought that he has been tied, and that's why he has to be untied for him to be free. So, baddhasya bhave, baddhatva bhave sati moksha chinta. When you think that you are bound, there will be desire for liberation and there will be liberation. But when you get liberated, when you become Jivan Mukta, when you become Moksha, then you know I was never bound. It was play of my mind, and when you know that I was ever liberated, I was always free, like that donkey was always free. Was there any real bondage and liberation? No, but from which standpoint, be careful. After you have gained liberation, after you have known yourself to be ever free, pure consciousness, happiness principle, till then you are as bound as that donkey is. You as in we all. We all, due to our ignorance, we have forgotten our ever free nature, true nature, our own Swarupa. Mind alone tricks us into believing that I am bound and now I am liberated. Now, The text concludes with the nature of liberation. Raman Maharshi is explaining. रूपिण्यरूपिण्युभयात्मिका च मुक्तिस्त्रिरूपेति विदो वदन्ति इदं त्रयं या विनिहन्त्यहन्धीस्तस्याः प्रणाशः परमार्थमुक्तिः. Raman Maharshi is saying, Muktihi, liberation. Rupini, arupini. Rupini with form, arupini without form. What is with form, without form? You will see later during a detailed explanation. Ubhayatmika, both, and Trirupa of three forms. Iti vidaha vadanti. Thus say the knowers of moksha. Ya aham dhihi, that I notion. Idam trayam vivinakti, which analyzes all these three notions. That I notion which analyzes all these three. Idam trayam vivinakti. Tasyaha pranashaha. Its destruction of that I notion is Paramartha Mukti, supreme liberation, highest form of liberation. The knowers of liberation, or the knowers, Jnani, they say that liberation is of three forms: with form, without form, and the nature of both. The destruction of I notion, which analyzes all these three forms, is true supreme liberation. What is this mukti with form and without form? Let us understand. There are different schools of thought who analyze mukti in different way. Some say that bondage is being experienced now. It will be meaningful to get liberated right now itself. That is Jivan Mukti. Even though this embodiment is there, I am mukta, I am liberated. Liberated while living. That's how it has been translated. Jivan api muktaha, Jivan muktaha. Even though he is living, even though the body has continued, he is mukta, liberated. He is not bound by world. In other words, if we just want to separate it out with one factor, he has destroyed, he has given up all the ignorance that he has, and he is not experiencing the world as it is. The argument that they make is, why only Jivan Mukti? Because nobody would strive for Mukti if it was not available right now here. Some say, no. Yes, what you say is true, but as long as the body is there and Ahankara, which identifies with this body, is there, no Mukti is possible. And even after that, the body continues. So, even though I may not say or I may not identify with the experiences, they will still continue. The prarabdha continues. So, there is Videha Mukti. Videha Mukti, when the body is dropped. After this embodiment, after when this body is dropped, there is no next embodiment. But till then, I am still experiencing the world. I will have to suffer. I will have to go through all that experiences, all those experiences, even though my ignorance has been destroyed, I have experienced my own true nature. The difference between the earlier and the latter is, in the earlier one, I am always abiding in my own Swarupa. I am not experiencing the external world at all. And after gaining Brahmanyana right now, I am experiencing the world, but the reality given to those experiences is not there. And some say, no, There is both. Liberation is attained while living, and the embodiment continues as long as prarabdha karma is there, the life is there, lifespan is there. Who is real, who is true, who is not true? Raman Maharshi says, don't go on that path, don't walk on that path. Just try to figure out, just try to inquire who is that or who is this ego who is trying to analyze all these three. Know its root, and that is the best type of liberation. Why are you concerned with what is the nature of liberation? Simply put, Raman Maharshi is approaching here directly. What he is trying to say is, rather than trying to analyze whether I will get liberated after this body drops or before this body drops, while right now if I will get liberated or not, don't worry about it. Try to know what your nature is. Finished. Once you are a mukta, jivan mukta, mukta. Simple. Instead of trying to figure out who is right, what is the nature of moksha, know that you are always mukta. You are never affected, you are not affected by it. With this, Raman Maharshi Ji's teaching gets over. As we had seen that this original composition is in Tamil language and which has been translated by Vasishtha Ganapati Muni. And now he himself has composed two verses in the end. Let us see what two following verses that have been written by Vasishtha Ganapati Muni. He is saying verse 43 and 44. सद्दर्शनं द्राविडवाङ्निबद्धं महर्षिणा श्रीरमणेन शुद्धं प्रबन्धमुत्कृष्टममर्त्यवाण्यामनूद्य वासिष्ठमुनिर्व्यतानीत् सतत्त्वसारं सरलं दधाना मुमुक्षुलोकाय मुदं ददाना अमानुषश्रीरमणीयवाणी मयूखभित्तिर्मुनिवाग्विभाति. Vasishtha Mahamuni, Vasishtha Muni, Ganapati Muni, he is saying, Saddarshanam, the book Saddarshana, Dravida Vangnibaddham. Dravida Vangnibaddham, written in Dravida language, that is Tamil. Maharshina Shri Ramanena, by Shri Ramana Maharshi. Shuddham, Shuddha, pure, Utkrishtam, exalted, best. Prabandham, this composition, Amartyavanyam, in the language which is immortal. Amartyavanyam, language of immortals or immortal language, that is Sanskrit, language of immortals, language of gods, Devata. Anudya, having reiterated, having translated, Vasishtha Munihi Yatani. Vasishtha Muni composed. So what Vasishtha Mahamuni ji is saying here is, he is saying that Vasishtha Ganapati Muni, I myself have composed this Saddarshana in Sanskrit from its original Tamil language, which has been composed by Sri Ramana Maharshi ji, and which by itself, the original composition, which by itself is pure and supreme. This composition, which has been produced, which has been composed by Ramana Maharshi ji, has been translated by me for the benefit of all seekers. Munivak, the words of Ramana Maharshi, Amanusha Shri Ramaniya Vani, is the divine language or divine words of Ramana Maharshi. Amanusha, it is not human. It is not his own creation. So he is comparing all these, on this text or this composition with Upanishads, which is amanusha, apaurushaya, which is divine. It is as holy, as profound as any Upanishad. And this Mayukha Bhitti Satatvasaram, this is like a very beautiful wall reflecting, shining the rays of sun. Satatvasaram, the essence of truth. Saralam dadhana, putting forth in a very simple language. Mumukshulokaya, to the world of seekers. Mumukshulokaya, all those who are desirous of liberation. Mudam dadana vibhati, appears to be giver of joy. He is saying the words of Raman Maharshi Ji are like sun rays that are shining in his own glory. Self-shining. The wall has been referred to as, they are self-shining. They are giving out the rays. It shines like wall reflecting the rays of divine utterance of Ramana Maharshi Ji, and conveying the essence of truth in simple way. I have composed I have translated that composition for the betterment or the enjoyment of all those who are desirous of liberation. In other words, for seekers who are desirous of liberation and who want to enjoy the inquiry, that process, for them I have translated this composition by Raman Maharshi Ji. Let this composition be a blessing for all those who are desirous of liberation. With this, we all also have finished with the inquiry into the text but not the truth. With the help of this text, again going through each and every verse, whenever we have time, following all the teachings that have been told by Raman Maharshi Ji in this text, may we also inquire into the nature of truth and gain the vision of that truth, Saddarshana. And this is what my prayer is at the feet of Raman Maharshi Ji and Ishvara and Guru Parampara, the lineage of teachers which has come up to us. And with their blessings, may we all find that eternal unsurpassed happiness which is Brahman itself in this life itself. With this, I conclude. With with this, I conclude my words. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om